Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kipbadger.com, here today with my trusted assistant, Jada.
Hi.
And we're here for a video review, and today we're going to be reviewing his new rifle, which is the Savage Rascal. I was looking around for a rifle to get my son for his 8th birthday, and you know what? There's not a lot of youth .22 rifles. He'd grown out of his little BB gun, and time to step it up a notch, showing responsibility. So I was like, you know what would you like for your birthday? This was one of the things he wanted because he wanted to go hunting with me. I was like, let's do this. Let's get you a rifle. And in my search, I was kind of looking for a couple things. And this Savage Rascal pretty much nailed all of them. So what are my metrics for a youth rifle? Well, one of the big things is, while there's a lot of youth rifles out there, the youth rifles are basically a regular rifle with a 16-inch barrel and a short length of pull. So you're still looking at like a 5.5-pound rifle. Where Savage really did it right with this is they made a true youth rifle. This is actually really awkward for an adult to shoot, but for someone little, it works great. Not only do you have a short length of pull, but the other really big one is weight. This thing weighs a little over 2.5 pounds. I believe it's like 2.66 pounds. That's great. So one, the child's not gonna end up fatiguing, like trying to manipulate this. And if something's so heavy that they're having a hard time struggling, the barrel's going to be going all over, and you have the potential of them flagging people because they're not strong enough to actually hold this and manipulate it the way they should. And lastly, being as light as it is, even though it's still relatively heavy for a little guy, he can absolutely shoot this offhand. The other important factor for me was controls. Right here you have a safety, which admittedly kind of tough for little hands, but push it forward to take it off safe. You have a little red marker, pull it back, and you're on safe. And even when you're on safe, you can still manipulate the bolt, which I find to be really important. Also, when you actually raise the bolt up, you're cocking the rifle, as opposed to other models where you have to pull a plunger or something like that. Not that it's a big deal, but it's not a transferable skill. No adult rifle do you have to pull a plunger to actually cock your rifle. And also, this comes with their Savage AccuTrigger, which, while I haven't played with it on this rifle, it is actually a nice little trigger and does a good job. Another thing I was looking for is a real sight, i.e. a peep sight. This does have one. Admittedly, kind of the adjustments are pretty crude. I think it's the elevation I have pretty much maxed out, still a little bit off, but what kind of rifle are we talking about too? And one of the good things, of course, my son's like, I want a scope on this, Dad. I'm like, okay, show me you can shoot with iron sights, then we'll get a scope. So of course, first day out here, I have like a 5x5 steel plate at like 25, like every round's on it. And I'm like, you know what? With those sights, that's pretty good to go. And good news, there's a provision for scopes in that the receiver is actually drilled and tapped, so you can put a base on there and then a scope.
What I liked about this rifle is when my dad bought it, the first time I did it, there was a square about 3 inches long, 4, and the only thing I could do is just go like this, shoot, hit. So these iron sights are pretty easy for me.
As far as accuracy, I don't know if my son is the best metric for it, but I think he shot 10 rounds supported off the bench, and they're all kind of the string through here, I imagine. And then this guy over here, probably one of a couple offhand shots he took, which admittedly, that rifle gets pretty heavy for little arms. But I'll go ahead and mark these and go take my point of aim right here, see what kind of group I get. My 10 shots about look like his 10 shots. I think this is my furthest kind of to the right. Make a circle. There's second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, And circling back to the 10. Nice weird shape right there. But again, this speaks to kind of the adjustments. One, I bottomed out, I think it was the elevation. And then as far as windage goes, you can absolutely kind of fine tune it some, but it's really easy to bump it. So if you want to actually use those iron sights, once you get them there, I suggest using Loctite. As far as this as a group from 25, it's probably not indicative of the rifle, but you know, it's the best I could do with those iron sights. Overall, I've been really pleased with this as a youth rifle. Has all the features I'm looking for. Accuracy wise, you know, we'll revisit that. In part because Jad absolutely held up his side of the bargain as far as being able to meet the metric I set for his iron sights. So you've earned yourself what?
A scope.
Exactly. So we're gonna get an optic on this. We'll probably revisit the accuracy. Also on here, there's a provision for a sling. The sling I have on here is way too heavy. He was like, hey Dad, I want a sling on there. I was like, let's put a sling on there. I think it's like a Magpul sling. There's too much webbing for this small of a rifle. So I'll probably readdress that. Overall though, I think there's a lot of value there, especially for young shooters, being not only small enough, but also light enough for them to manipulate it. And pretty good price point. MSRP is somewhere around a little south of 200 bucks, but you pretty much find them everywhere else for somewhere in the neighborhood of 160. So as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time. 5,500